R blank blank K, what else could it be?
Could just be Rilk.
Rilk?
Rilk, R blank blank K, Rilk.
Behind the bars of Slade Prison, Porridge was hiding secrets even the toughest fans never spotted. From casting chaos to real prison connections, these are the 10 secrets that completely changed the show. Fact 1. Ronnie Barker wasn't sure about Fletcher at first. He was already a massive star from the two Ronnies. He feared being overexposed on British TV. Writer Dick Clement had to personally convince him. Barker eventually agreed, but only if he could play it his way. He insisted Fletcher needed warmth beneath the sarcasm. He didn't want Fletcher to be just a smart ass. Once filming began, Barker completely transformed the role. He used subtle pauses and facial expressions that weren't in the script. Writers rewrote future episodes based on his instincts. He even helped shape some of the show's slang. Phrases like doing porridge exploded in popularity. His performance became so iconic that even prisoners admired it. Barker later called it his most satisfying role. He loved how Fletcher was clever without being cruel. Fans still quote his one-liners today. The role earned him critical praise and massive ratings. He proved that sitcoms could be smart and heartfelt. Without Ronnie Barker, Porridge wouldn't be the classic it became. And to think, he almost said no. Sometimes even the best have doubts before greatness. And Barker turned a jailbird into a legend. Fact 2.
Don't you comment with me now.
No, I wouldn't, Mr. McCay, I wouldn't, would I? Otherwise, you'd wait till the train gets a bit of speed up outside Hemel Hempstead and chuck me out the window, wouldn't you?
Before it was called Porridge, the show had a very bland title. The original pilot was part of the 7 of 1 series. It aired under the name Prisoner and Escort in 1973. It featured Ronnie Barker as Norman Stanley Fletcher for the first time. David Jason played one of the guards, years before Only Fools. Writers Clement and Lafreniere loved the pilot's chemistry. But the BBC wasn't convinced at first. They asked for changes to make it funnier and more grounded. Once approved, the show got the green light for a full series. The name Porridge was slang for a prison sentence. It was chosen for its Britishness and double meaning. Some execs feared viewers wouldn't understand it. Others loved its subtle, dark humour. The pilot set the tone for the entire series. Fletcher's wit and the guards' cluelessness were already there. Fans often missed that it all began with a one-off special. Old BBC schedules still list it separately from Porridge. You can still find the original Prisoner and Escort title on DVDs. It's a reminder of how one episode sparked a TV phenomenon. Without that low-key pilot, Porridge might not exist. And doing Porridge might have meant something else entirely. Fact 3.
Watch out for them bathhouse cleaners.
Why?
Load of trusty puffs working the bathhouse.
Fans have searched for Slade Prison for years, but here's the truth, it's completely fictional. There is no real Slade Prison anywhere in the UK. The exteriors were filmed at old RAF facilities in Hertfordshire. The prison gates and walls were built just for the show. Most interior scenes were done in BBC studios. Set designers used real prison photos for inspiration. They even consulted with former inmates for authenticity. The result looked so real, some viewers believed it was a working jail. In fact, a few location shots caused police confusion. Locals near filming locations thought there had been a prison break. The realism helped the comedy land even harder. Ronnie Barker once joked the sets were too realistic. I felt like I'd done time. Every door, clank and corridor echo was carefully designed. The props team borrowed real prison uniforms. The food trays, metal beds and barred windows were all spot on. Even the colour schemes matched British jails of the 1970s. Slade Prison may be fake, but it feels more real than some documentaries. The illusion worked so well, some tourists still ask for directions to it. It's a masterclass in sitcom world building and proof that a convincing prison can be built from scratch. No parole needed, just brilliant design. Fact 4.
But what are you thinking? At the moment, I'm thinking, why don't this bloke Warren naff off and leave me alone?
Believe it or not, Porridge faced censorship battles. BBC bosses were nervous about making prison funny. Executives feared it would glorify crime or offend victims. The first few scripts were heavily edited. Lines about drugs, riots, and suicide were cut. Writers Clement and Lafreniere fought hard to keep realism. They argued that humour in dark places was exactly the point. Ronnie Barker backed them, saying prisoners deserve laughter too. Eventually, the censors relented after seeing audience reactions. Viewers loved the honesty wrapped in wit. The show avoided glamorizing crime by focusing on character. Fletcher wasn't a thug, he was a survivor. The guards weren't evil, just bureaucratic and lost. This balance let the show tackle heavy themes with humour. Episodes hinted at depression, isolation, and lost potential, but always with a punchline to soften the blow. The BBC learned to trust the writers' instincts. They stopped fighting the scripts and started promoting them. Even politicians praised the show for its honesty. Today, Porridge is taught in media courses as a censorship success story. It proved even a prison can be full of laughs, if done right. And sometimes, the smartest humour lives in the darkest places. Fact 5.
I grew up before you come in, Dave.
Oh, you did, yeah. You grew up too soon, you did. You seemed to bypass puberty altogether, you did.
Originally, Norman Stanley Fletcher was written as a hardened criminal. He was supposed to be sarcastic, bitter, and slightly dangerous. But Ronnie Barker changed that from day one. He saw Fletcher as more clever than cruel. He added warmth, charm, and quiet wisdom. Writers quickly rewrote future episodes around this new version. Fletcher became a reluctant father figure to younger inmates, especially to naive cellmate Lenny Godber. This change deepened the emotional core of the show. Fans related to Fletcher as a man making the best of bad luck. He still conned guards and broke rules, but with heart. Ronnie Barker often rewrote lines to soften harsh edges. He believed audiences liked flawed heroes, not villains. Producers said this tweak saved the show's tone. It made the comedy richer, not meaner. Fletcher became someone people rooted for, not feared. His friendship with Godber added real depth to the prison dynamic. The role gave Barker a wider range to show his skill. The shift turned Porridge from good to unforgettable. And it all started with one actor refusing to play a stereotype. Sometimes heart beats hard, man, and wins. Fact 6.
Born free.
Richard Beckinsale played the innocent Godber, but he wasn't as young as he looked. He was actually 26 when cast, but the role called for a naive 21-year-old. To land the part, Beckinsale shaved years off his real age. Casting directors believed he was barely out of drama school. His boyish charm sealed the deal instantly. Once cast, he became a national heartthrob almost overnight. Fans sent letters begging for signed photos of Lenny. Producers later discovered his real age, but kept quiet. They didn't want to ruin the young cellmate image. Beckansale had a natural chemistry with Ronnie Barker. Their on-screen bond felt like father and son. Behind the scenes, the two were close friends. Barker often gave Beckinsale advice on timing and stagecraft. Beckinsale once said working on Porridge was like a comedy masterclass. He brought sensitivity and hope to the prison world. His Godber gave the show emotional balance. Audiences loved watching him slowly grow tougher. When he left the series to star in Going Straight, fans were gutted. Tragically, he died just a few years later at 31. Ronnie Barker called it a devastating loss to British comedy. Beckinsale's legacy lives on, and so does Godber's quiet strength. Fact 7.
I mean, a stitch in time saves a hole in your trousers, doesn't it?
Right, then I'll post it.
Yeah, no point in leaving it to the last minute, is there, eh?
Some of the guards in Porridge weren't as fictional as fans think. Writers Clement and Lafreniere spent time researching in real prisons. They interviewed dozens of former officers across the UK. Mr. Mackay, the stern Scottish guard, was based on multiple people. They combined strict disciplinarians with a dry sense of humour. Fulton Mackay brought that balance perfectly to the screen. He added military precision to every line and movement. He even wore his own watch from National Service days. Warders said Mackay's body language was uncannily accurate. Mr. Barrowclough, the softer guard, was also inspired by real-life soft touches. He represented those officers who saw prisoners as people. Writers wanted to show both extremes of the prison staff. Neither was purely right or wrong, just human. BBC staff were shocked at how real the dynamic felt. Ex-prisoners even wrote in saying that's exactly how it was. Mackay was proud that prison officers respected his performance. When he passed away in 1987, tributes came from all over the country. His portrayal still influences how prison guards are shown on TV. The mix of firm and fair became the gold standard. Even modern crime shows borrow from Mackay's performance. Real guards helped build Porridge, and that legacy holds strong. Fact 8. The episode A Night In is now considered a classic, but in 1974, it almost didn't air. BBC censors were alarmed by its tone. The entire episode takes place inside one cell. It's mostly dialogue, quiet, dark, and unusually emotional. Executives feared it lacked laughs and was too bleak. They worried viewers wouldn't respond to a prison confessional. Writers Clement and Lafreniere pushed back hard. They said comedy didn't always need a joke every line. Ronnie Barker agreed, calling the script brilliant theatre. The episode showed Fletcher and Godber connecting on a human level. It tackled fear, regret, and survival without gimmicks. Eventually, the BBC aired it, with fingers crossed. Audience response was overwhelming. Letters poured in praising the show's honesty and depth. Critics called it one of the best half hours in British TV. Years later, it was used in writing workshops and drama schools. It proved sitcoms could be powerful with just two voices in one room. That risk elevated Porridge into art. The episode became a turning point for the series, and it taught the BBC to trust brave storytelling. Fact 9. Ronnie Barker wasn't just the star, he was also a secret writer. He often submitted gags and lines under the name Gerald Wy. Even producers didn't know at first who Gerald Wy really was. Barker used the alias to see if his writing stood on its own. He believed anonymity ensured honest feedback. Many of Fletcher's funniest lines came from Wy. Writers would later discover the truth and be amazed. Some of the show's slang and wordplay had Barker's hidden fingerprints. He loved crafting double meanings and awkward silences. Occasionally, he'd rewrite scenes on set without taking credit. When BBC finally learned Gerald Wy's identity, they were stunned. Barker kept the name alive for years across multiple shows. He even submitted material to the two Ronnies under that pseudonym. Fellow comedians admired his discipline and humility. He said it wasn't about ego, just the craft. That quiet brilliance made him a writer's writer. And it deepened Porridge in ways few noticed. Even Godber's naivety was sharpened by wily edits. Barker was never just Fletcher. He was part of every corner of the show. The man behind the jokes was hiding in plain sight, and British comedy was better for it. Fact 10. This might surprise you. Porridge sparked real debates in Parliament. MPs praised its accurate human portrayal of inmates. It showed prisoners as people, not monsters. The Home Office reportedly used episodes in training seminars. Discussions about rehabilitation were influenced by the show's themes. Prison governors said the show helped the public understand their challenges. Writers were invited to speak at criminal justice panels. Even former inmates wrote to say they felt seen. It opened eyes to what incarceration meant. Beyond the cliches, Fletcher's intelligence challenged the idea of mindless criminals. Godber's vulnerability showed how easy it was to end up behind bars. The guards weren't villains, just part of a system. The humour made the lessons easier to absorb. Journalists wrote op-eds connecting episodes to real prison policy. Roy Jenkins, then Home Secretary, was reportedly a fan. He once quoted Fletcher in a speech about reform. It was rare for comedy to influence public discourse, but Porridge did just that, through warmth and wit. Even now, criminologists reference the show in academic work. Not bad for a sitcom set in a fake jail. Sometimes the funniest stories spark the deepest change.